This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition. We've got a Lennox package unit. The customer's complaining that this area, somewhere between this unit and this unit, this area of the dining room is warm. This unit is running right now. This unit is not. So let's open this up, have a look at what's going on in here. We got cobwebs everywhere. We open this up, there's like stuff all inside here. And we come over here and we've got LED lights, which is kind of hard to see, but they're basically indicating Y1 and Y2 is calling, and so is G. But the contactors for Y1 and Y2, compressor 1, compressor 2, are not pulled in. We don't have any active error codes, but the indoor blower motor contactor is pulled in. So something's wrong here, causing this unit not to run when it has a call according to the thermostat. So the first thing we're gonna do is, well, it should be running right now. Something's wrong, but I'm gonna hit recall on the board and see if we get a display right here. We don't get a display. Okay, so there's something wrong here. This board should be lighting up. We should have an LED readout. Next thing is if I hit shift and unit test, we should get an LED. Okay, there, we're getting a decimal. And it says 0. Yeah, something's wrong with the buttons because that is a component test. When it says 0, it should be saying CO1 when I do shift and unit test. Oh, let's see, it's like doing something right now. Yeah, something's funky with the board. Okay, so, oh, there it goes, CO1 now. It's like taking a minute to register. Okay, so I took it off. We're going back to normal operation, and now it turned on. See, there's like a gremlin in the board. The board, when I got here, I think that there's something going on in these dip switches because we weren't getting an error message. Let's see if we get an error message now. We're gonna go back. It's almost like they're making intermittent connection. So when I do recall, it should say 0 if there's no errors, but it's not listing anything. So clearly there's something wrong here with the board because recall should be showing at a minimum a 0, or it should be showing all the previous error codes, which this unit is old as heck, so this should have error codes. So something is clearly wrong here with this unit. I'm gonna turn it off. I think it's a control problem here is the issue. Probably gonna be a board issue. Let's go ahead and turn it on. When you're looking at boards, whether or not that's my issue, always pay attention to the numbers. So A55, this one is a, it says it on there somewhere, it's probably right in front of my face, you guys are probably screaming at me, A56. And this one is an A57. So if we had to replace these, we would need those 3 boards more than likely. But I don't know if that's the case. So we're gonna go again. We're gonna go to recall. See if we get a, see, it should be showing previous error messages on this, and it's not. And so what starts to happen on these things is these dip switches don't make proper contact anymore. You flip these to do different functions and they start to go bad. So this unit, when we walked up, had power. Whether or not it was correct power, we don't know. We had full call for cool, Y1, Y2, but nothing was happening. The only thing that I did was I started looking through the dip switches to see what the errors were, and then I put it into test mode because when I didn't see any errors on the LEDs, I assumed maybe there was something wrong. So then I put it into test mode to see, and in test mode it worked, but it was kind of lagging, right? But then when I took it out of test mode, the unit started up like normal operation. So something was going on, and I think it's in this circuit board. I think there's a problem. All right, so my theory is that there's something wrong with the dip switches or something wrong with the board. So when I hit recall, you should see something. Let's see, this one shows it. You get a decimal, and then you get the most recent error message. On this one is a heating code, so I'm not too worried about that. But even then, let's just say I erase all the error codes, okay? So I'm gonna hold it down and erase them. At a minimum, you should see a 0 on that board if there was no errors. On the other board, we don't see anything, okay? So using that logic that I can't get it to recall errors, but then on top of that, it was like stuck with Y1 and Y2 and the fan calling, and it was just doing nothing. The fact that it was doing that, to me, indicates that, looks like I didn't do this right. To me, indicates that there's something wrong with that board. It shouldn't be reacting like that. So this is a good operating one. This is their other unit. So I'm gonna assume, and we'll double check, but I'm gonna assume that this unit is fine, and the unit that they were worried about was the other one, because that was the one, I said it was one of these two, and this one wasn't running, and it was stuck in that weird mode where it wasn't turning on. So we're gonna go downstairs, turn it on at the thermostat again, and see if this unit gets stuck in that weird mode or if it turns on. If it turns on and it works properly, we'll check the unit out. As long as the unit's, you know, data and vitals are good, then we'll talk to them about replacing this circuit board. That's the theory we're at right now. But this is a working theory and things could change. So we're gonna watch it operate, do a couple more tests. Now, I went down to the thermostat and restarted it at the thermostat because I wanted to see the natural way that this unit runs. I could have easily tried to turn it on via test mode, but that's not the way that the customer turns it on. And I'm trying to recreate the problem where it got stuck with Y1 and Y2. So there was something clearly going on, but the board isn't registering what previous errors were. So that to me indicates that there is a problem with this board. But what we're gonna do real quick is we are gonna continue. There's a massive sewage smell right now too, where I'm at. I don't know what it is, but it's horrible. We are gonna continue evaluating the unit, checking each refrigerant circuit, making sure everything about the unit is working as best as possible, because I hate to put a really expensive circuit board in this and find out there's other things and then have to go back to the customer. So within the best of our ability, we're gonna troubleshoot every other operation of this unit as far as the cooling goes, make sure that's good, and then we'll decide on our diagnosis on replacing the circuit board possibly. We are all probed up on the unit. It's been running for about 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there, so it's somewhat stabilized out. Circuit 1, this is an R22 circuit. This is a basically 8.5 ton, 9 ton unit right in there. It's like 102,000 BTUs. Suction saturation looks decent for the return air temp. Liquid line, this is liquid line pressure, okay? This isn't discharge. So liquid line pressure, I'm not too concerned about that. Subcooling that's a true subcooling. That seems pretty decent to me. Superheat, slightly on the high side, but not too concerning, okay? Let's go ahead and go to circuit 2 and look at what circuit 2 says. Head pressure is a little bit higher. That's expected because the second stage is this side of the condenser, which doesn't get cleaned as much, but it's also severely damaged. Both condenser fan motors should be running when troubleshooting, and they are. They're rejecting heat, okay? So, you know, subcooling just a little bit on the high side, but not too bad. Might be a slightly restricted condenser, but I think it's more or less because the fins are damaged, okay? So let's keep going over. Let's look at our temperature splits, about 14 degrees right here, but we have very, very low load right now. So that's gonna be part of the reason why we have such a low temperature split. And this right here is a little off. I need to probably double check the, oh, you know what? I don't have very good probe placement for my, oh, and you can see it's still stabilizing. Look, we're climbing right now. So yeah, temp split's still adjusting. Everything's still kind of getting normal here. So we're coming in line on our airflow. This is just using an estimation. Delivered capacity, we're a little shy, but not horrible. I mean, this unit's not operating like it was brand new, but it's working. What I'm doing right now is just testing to make sure there's no major issues other than what I think to be the bad circuit board that was kind of in a way locking the unit out, and that's what it seems to be the case. Because we're gonna check the belt tension here in just a sec, but I'm pretty sure it's tight, judging from the sound. This unit seems like if we put a new circuit board in it, we won't have that issue again, hopefully, where it was like stuck in that weird thing where it had a full call for cooling, but it wasn't registering on the board. The other thing to understand too when you're looking at these boards is you always want to look for this heartbeat. Where it says HB, those need to be blinking to indicate that the board thinks that, you know, that it's, for the most part, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, okay? So every one of these heartbeats is blinking right now. So that's a good sign. Whenever you diagnose one of these Lennox boards, you always want to look for that heartbeat to make sure you've got proper power going to it, you know. everything's registering. So during normal operation, those heartbeats should be flashing. So we've got full call for cooling now. For whatever reason, it was stuck in that weird loop. It wasn't registering. I've seen that happen when these dip switches start to go bad because it doesn't register that it's off, it's not making a good connection, and it starts to be a problem. So for the most part, this unit, we're gonna diagnose it as a bad circuit board, talk to the customer and submit a quote, and then come back out once they approve the quote. All right, we are back. We were able to get the board, no problem. We weren't able to get an economizer board, but this one's working, so we should be fine. But we did get the, I think this is the second stage compressor board. So we got that, it's like an expansion board. So we're gonna change the main and this guy right here, and then we'll reuse the economizer module. So first step, we're gonna shut down power, get the other one, inspect it, make sure it's all good, and then we'll basically just undo the screws, slap it in there. The plugs just wire right up, so it shouldn't be too big of a thing. When you're working with these circuit boards, you wanna be very careful about static electricity. They have them in static free bags or whatever. But what you don't want to do is short it out or something because of a static spark coming from your hand. So make sure you're grounded. If you wanted to get crazy technical, you can put grounding gloves on and stuff, but we don't need to get that crazy. We've already got this board attached, but we need to put the screws in. We also need to put the economizer board on. So we've got the old one right here. The new one, it's gonna have a new display that happens with it, but it'll be fine. So we're gonna get the other board attached to this real quick. So we're being very careful to try to only touch the outside as much as possible, but you know, there's gonna be some instances where we're gonna have to touch it and get it set up in there, and then we'll start threading the screws in. They give you specific instructions on how to do this, but essentially turn off power, disconnect everything, put the new board in, turn power on, make sure you have heartbeats, and then set the ecto or the programming information if you want to. Lost my train of thought there, but this unit we're probably not going to have to change any of the ecto parameters because this is a pretty basic unit. But if you're doing energy management or if you have weird things turned on, you can change that in the ecto parameters. It comes with new stickers because the codes can change a little bit, so I just applied those over the old stickers. It actually came with two. They're identical. One's just for vertical, one's for horizontal. I just put them both on there. It doesn't make it easier, whatever. And it does come with a new book too. So we're just about done getting the board all screwed in, and then we're gonna start pushing the connectors back in. Yeah. All right, we got it all wired in. The plugs just hooked right back up to where they were. Everything's good there. Now we just gotta hope it doesn't blow up. You gonna stay with me? 1, 2, 3. Please don't blow up in my face. All right, I'm gonna give it a second. It's already got a call for G. Now this one will have a scrolling 6.06. It's telling you the firmware version, I believe. So it looks like we're in occupied mode. G's calling. I'm gonna give a look through the manual just to make sure there's no ecto parameters I need to worry about. But the ecto parameters on this, you'd have to switch ECTO over, and then you gotta work with the button and you go through the parameters and stuff. But I really don't think there's gonna be anything on this unit we're gonna be changing. So I'm gonna look into that real quick, and then we're just gonna wait to make sure that this naturally turns on from downstairs. But at least now we'll be able to, if you hit recall, it should either say 0 or something else. It should say something, right? This one says 82 power cycle. So we can go ahead and erase that by holding it down. And then now it should always say 0. The other one, we had no reaction when we would flip the recall button over, and unit test would intermittently work. So that's the dip switch. I think the dip switches were really the problem with the other board. All right, we're just gonna watch it, and I'm gonna read the manual real quick. We got Y1 to call, but we haven't seen Y2 yet, so we gotta wait. We gotta see the operation of this unit, and you wanna see it from the thermostat to make sure it's observing the input from the thermostat call. So far so good. All right, everything is working. Y2 is calling now. Let's see if I can get a picture for you guys. There you go. OCP, Y2, Y1, and G. Both compressors are running. All the condenser fan motors are running. Outside air dampers working. This unit is 100%. Polishing a turd, but it's operating. They are getting ready to do a sweep and replace air conditioners like across the company. So all this stuff's gonna be getting replaced soon. Get rid of the broken up conduit like that. You gotta watch out too, there's spider webs everywhere here. Everywhere I'm going, there's freaking spider webs. They've been definitely living up here having a blast. Let me check to make sure. Yep, outside air damper's open. So we're looking good. we are finished up on this one. We're gonna give the customer the keys and tell them to keep an eye on it. The initial call was that the unit wasn't working, and when we came up to it, we found it stuck in that weird mode where it had a call for heating and cooling, but it had no errors present and the compressors weren't running. So my logic with that was, okay, I flipped the recall switch to see the previous errors and there's none listed. The recall switch wasn't engaging the board. It just wouldn't turn it on. The next thing is that then when I went over and flipped the test mode, all of a sudden, if I remember right, it kicked on when I did the test mode when I was playing with the dip switches. So there was just something going on. The dip switches weren't working. It was intermittently making connection, and I think it was causing the unit not to work. So we went ahead and picked up a new circuit board, came back out, installed it, started it up. Everything's working good. I checked all the parameters. We're good to go on that. Customer's gonna be happy. Now this unit's not working amazingly well, but it's doing what it can for what it is. And again, like I said, they're in the process of replacing all this equipment. So we gotta keep it running, but we're not gonna spend days trying to get this thing to perfection because it's, you know, from 04, 05, somewhere in there, and it's just time to replace it. So we just do our best within the customer's budget, whatever they want us to do. You know, we try to make them happy and keep their equipment up and running. I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. Hopefully my logic makes sense to you as to how I diagnosed that board and where the problem was. Bottom line, that board needs to be operating. I need to be able to flip the temperature switch and the recall switch to be able to recall past error codes. And if I can't see those, then it makes it difficult for me to troubleshoot this unit. But again, I can't stress enough, thank you so very much for making it to the end. It still humbles me that you guys like to watch these videos because, like, I get it. I've done it long enough that I realize that people like listening to the babble that I have, you know, coming out of my mouth all the time, my inner dialogue. But it still is just kind of surreal that you guys like to watch these videos and watch me work. You know, I'm not a perfect tech. I make a lot of mistakes, I truly do. But I try my best, you know, within reason, within the customer's budget. So thank you so very much. It's very humbling. It's awesome. If you're interested in supporting this channel, you know, the easiest way to support this channel is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. But you can also do it via PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. Those are all ways to either make a monthly commitment or a one-time donation. Feel free to do so. But again, the easiest way, like I said, just watch the videos from beginning to end. You can also do it by going to my website, HVACRvideos.com, where we have merchandise available. Got some hats available on there. Those are shipped from my house. My wife and I, we package mostly my wife, HVACR wife, is the one that's doing 99.9% of the merch stuff. She's taking merch orders out daily, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of her gig. But help support the family, again, HVACRvideos.com. Last but not least, you see any of the tools I'm using in these videos, the job link probes, all that different stuff, the Fieldpiece SC480, the meter. You can pick those up from TrueTechTools.com. I actually have an affiliate program set up with TrueTechTools.com. If you use my affiliate code BIGPICTURE, one word, you can get a discount at checkout on majority of the items on their website. Now, mind you, that's the word big picture with no spaces. Okay, so just big picture, no space. And that's why I say one word, but some people apparently it doesn't make sense. So I'm just trying to reiterate, big picture, one word. Most of the items you get a nice discount. I get a small commission from that when you do. There's a few things it doesn't apply to, but for the most part, it'll get you a nice discount at checkout. So thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you, and I hope to catch you on the next one.